We'll call this meeting to order at 6:03. We'll take attendance. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Councilmember Pasqua.
Here.
Councilmember Capaldi.
Here.
Councilmember Hul.
Here.
Councilmember Ionati.
Here.
Councilmember Mars.
Here.
Vice President Brown is absent tonight. And President Verducci.
Here. Let's arise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the event of an emergency, you can go back out the doors you came in that way, or you can head out to the side doors here, to the exits marked in back. First item on the agenda tonight, we have some meeting minutes. We've got two sets of minutes, one open, one executive. We had a couple corrections. I've given them to the clerk, just some small spelling type things. Anybody have anything else on the open session minutes? Seeing none, can take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve December 8th, 2025 open session minutes.
A motion. We have a second. Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Next piece is the executive session minutes. Anything changes or suggestions on those? Not seeing any.
I'll make a motion to approve January 27th, 2026 executive session minutes.
Motion from Councilman Newell, second from Councilman Pasqua. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. I'm sorry. Oh. All right. I think we should entertain a motion to go out of order to accommodate some of the folks here tonight who are signing up to serve.
I'll make a motion to take the agenda out of order.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd like to take section 3 and move it before public comment section 2.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Councilman Hool. We will take section 3 of the agenda now. First up here, we have our oath of office for our elected members of a town council. Senator Rogers, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. He'll be swearing in Councilwoman Ionati.
All right, I just want to say this is an extreme pleasure for me. I don't get to do it too often, but when I do, it is a great pleasure. So after I say do you, you say your name, and then I'll go. All right, ready? Raise your right hand.
The only time I've ever said I do.
Do you say me?
Yeah, Ionati.
Solemnly swear that you will be true and faithful unto this state, support the laws, the Constitution of the United States, and that you will well and truly execute the office of town council member for the term from which you've been elected in and for said town of Coventry, Rhode Island, or until another be engaged in your place or until you are legally discharged therefrom. So help you God.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Let's see. Do we have anybody else who's an elected person? Anybody? All right. I see one guy. Mr. Mars. Okay. Yeah. You get up.
Hold round. So do you raise your right hand? Do you, Greg A. Mars, solemnly swear that you will be true and faithful unto this state, support the laws, Constitution of the United States, and that you will well and truly execute the office of town council member from the term for which you've been elected and in for said of town of Coventry, Rhode Island, or until another be engaged in your place or until you are legally discharged therefrom, so help you God. Congratulations.
Congrats. Thank you very much, Senator. Appreciate you being here to do that. And congratulations to you, sir. All right. Good work. All right, next item on the agenda, we have some town council appointments. First up, under item B, we have Coventry Planning Commission. We have 2 openings. We have 4 applicants who have put in so far. What's the pleasure of the council, sorry.
I actually think that we should table this. I would make a motion to table the Coventry Planning Commission appointments. We were notified from the Madam Clerk that there was potentially another applicant coming over. And with the importance of this board and of that commission, I think it would do this council best to have all potential applicants available to us for review.
Mr. President, we're just advised that the applicant that just contacted us regarding putting an application does not want to submit at this time. So council's pleasure, whether you want to move forward or you want to still postpone it. I believe one person is not.
Who is here to, who are the candidates here, if I may ask?
Keith should be on Zoom. Keith Galloway will be on Zoom.
Yes, please.
Doug McLean, Planning Director. I heard from a few of the applicants today that suggested they had intermittent internet access and were not sure if they'd be able to join on Zoom. So a few let me know they're very interested. Don't take their lack of participation as a signal that they're not interested, but there are a few that were not able to be here. They're out of the state and they were in very bad Wi-Fi reception areas.
Well, we got you. When's your next meeting?
March 25th.
So we're meeting again in a week. All right. Right. So
I'm going to second
we
the
have a
motion.
motion and we have
I'm
a second.
seconding the motion to move it where we can get everyone in the room so we can see the candidates, hear from them, and then make an appointment.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Anybody discussion on this item? Obviously a very important position for the town right now. So happy to discuss with everyone. We have a motion and a second to move this to next agenda.
Can I say one thing? Thank you, sir, for coming. I appreciate it. And I hope you don't mind coming back. I'd like to get everyone there. So thank you. Okay.
Anyone with discussion on the motion? Right, we'll vote it. Want to do roll call or?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying prior to the next one, you guys just need to pass the resolution to add that additional person for the next appointment.
Before we do the appointment.
Correct.
Thank you for that. All right, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Pasqua.
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi.
Yes.
Councilmember Hul.
Yes.
Councilmember Ionati.
Yes.
Councilmember Mars.
Yes.
President Verducci.
Yes.
6 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. Now we are keeping it out of order to stay orderly. We need to, under item 5, we need a resolution, item A. Everyone up here good with the resolution? Essentially, this is us revisiting, adding another member to the school building committee. Oh, sure. Councilman Pasqua.
Make a motion to pass resolution 2026-13, amending resolution number 66-22-5405, entitled the Resolution of Town of Coventry Formulating a School Building Committee.
I second that, but it's not resolution 66 or it's resolution 63, but I second his.
Great, thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. We're going to hop back over to item 3 under item C. And this one is a friend of ours who has spent a long time waiting for us to appoint her to accept her volunteering. So thank you for your patience on this. We did hear from Kaylee before. Oh boy, seems like a while ago now, but she's signing up to help us out on the school building committee. So
I'll make a motion if you're
appreciate
Council
you.
President.
Got a motion.
I will make a motion to approve Kaylee Cousineau to the Coventry School Building Committee, and thank you for your patience.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion for Kaylee C?
Just thank you.
All right. Yes. Thank you from all of us. We appreciate it. All those in
We'll see you
favor?
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buckle
Yeah.
up. Aye.
Thursday.
Thursday? Tomorrow at 6. It's in my calendar.
All right. We'll see it.
Tomorrow is Thursday. No, tomorrow's.
Oh, all right, guys. All right. Everybody take a breath.
No, Kaylee, it's in my calendar for tomorrow at 6. The superintendent sent the invitation out. Yes. See you there.
Buckle up.
At the annex
Yeah.
across the street. That way.
Yeah. Yeah. First time you got to bring snacks. All right. All right. Well, that's why we picked you. All right. Here we go. Did we actually vote that? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much, Kaylee. All right. Let's see. We can head over to item 4. If we're still good on time, Councilman Pasqua? Yeah. Okay. Item 4, report of town officers and official. Tonight we have Mr. Savetti here, I believe. Come on down. Good evening.
Evening. So just as a preference, council, just so you know, the school committee had their meeting last week and they approved the deficit reduction plan for the Auditor General. So one of the items Director Savetti is going to talk about is that document, so we can get that into his hands ASAP. He's been waiting a little while for that. Thanks.
Good evening. Yeah, so in your packet this evening, as the town manager just mentioned, you have the proposed deficit reduction plan. As you may recall, previous discussions, in accordance with state law, once a deficit's identified, we're supposed to produce a deficit reduction plan that has to fund that deficit over no more than a 5-year period of time. Our proposal is to fund the deficit over the next 3 years. Be honest, from my perspective, I looked at it that the town's contributed to the deficit reduction of the school department over the last 2 years. So essentially, we're doing a 5-year plan, but, in accordance with state law, our proposal is only to present it over the next 3 years. So the numbers really haven't changed significantly from what you saw at the previous discussions we had, both when we did the 5-year projection, which we recently put forward, I guess, back in December. There's been a few tweaks to this, but, some of the highlights, local appropriation for education, we're proposing in here that the town would continue to increase the local appropriations for the maintenance of effort by 2% annually each of the next 3 years. So fiscal 27 through fiscal 29. Now, I said it's a 2% increase in the appropriation. That doesn't mean a 2% increase in the tax levy. Based on just the increase from fiscal 26 to 27, you're looking at that would be about a 1.25% increase on the tax levy. And as you know, in accordance with state law, we're not supposed to increase our total tax levy by more than 4%. So, that again, big assumption that's in there, assuming that the council would agree with the budgets we would put forward, which would show that 2% increase. Fiscal 27 for the state aid for education, that currently shows the amount that the governor's proposed in their budget. Obviously, if that budget gets amended by the legislators before it's adopted by the end of June, then these numbers would be adjusted. But so again, that's our starting base for 2027. And then the projection does include an estimated increase of 3% annually in state aid. Again, it's an estimate, right? This is the best we can do, try to estimate based on historical information. And I could tell you over the last couple of years, we've seen an increase of approximately 5% in state aid. Do I think we're going to continue to get the 5%? Probably not, but 3%, I think, is still a conservative estimate. And then from, the expenditure side, you had the various assumptions where, some of the largest ones when you're dealing with retirements. So this projection assumes that we're going to have 8 retirees that are at top step, and they're going to be replaced with teachers that are coming at the 3rd step. Again, superintendent and his team over at the school department has looked at that. They don't think, based on the ages of the teachers and the years of service, they think that's something that's very doable and, they believe can happen. So I know one of the questions posed, well, what if some of these assumptions don't come to fruition? Then we'd have to make the adjustments, right? Just like with their budget, if the state aid for education and their proposed budget comes in less in June, they're going to have to adjust their budget down. But when you look at the budget projection on the second page where it shows, next to the bottom line, it shows appropriation to fund balance deficit. That's the amount that the school's projecting it's going to have in a surplus each of those years that's going to help reduce the deficit, their current accumulated deficit. So in fiscal 2026, currently they're projecting they're going to have a surplus of approximately $977,000. In fiscal 2027, they would contribute, the net surplus that year, approximately $1.4 million, 2028, $1.3 million. And in 2029, we would eliminate the deficit, which at that point would be $807,492. And we'd actually finish that year with a cumulative fund balance of the school department of $152,000. So again, like any budget that's put forward, it's estimates based on historical information, where we see trends going. But this is like, what we've worked on with the school department. As the town manager mentioned, school committee approved at their recent meeting last week. And so we're asking the council to consider this proposal and approve passage of this proposal so we can submit it to the Auditor General. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Quick one you just made me think of, when we had our budget discussion, we were talking about recommended fund balance as percentage of, operating budget and this might be more for the schools, but is there something similar on the school side? Obviously, we don't want it to be negative, but would you see this as them wanting to continue to grow that?
Yeah, again, best practice generally looks at the budget overall. So when I gave that number, I said, 16 to 20% is where I'd like to get up to the 20%. Best practice says 16 to 20%. And I was looking at the number of our total budget, which actually includes a portion of the school's budget, right? Because we factor in their numbers. But they still should also have a fund balance.
Okay.
They should, I'd say it doesn't have to be as high as 20, but they should maintain a fund balance probably of at least 10% would be what I think they should have for their rainy days. So when they have those out of district tuitions or state placements that they weren't anticipating, they should have that money available to cover that.
So a bit of a cushion, but that's a good point. I'm glad you said that. So ours is based on total town budget,
Right.
which includes them. Okay, interesting. And then just as far as big picture goes, this is obviously something we've been talking about probably since you got here. As far as this goes, can we just take a step back, 30,000-foot view, and maybe describe what this does for us now as a town where our, our kind of, cadence with the Auditor General and things like that,
Yeah, I
it's
think
going to
it's-
change now?
The Auditor General, and the number of meetings we had, he was looking forward to us getting something passed so we could really use Coventry as an example of how it can be accomplished. We've had the deficit a few years. We've come a long way with the audits, getting those completed in a timely fashion, and being able to put together a plan to show that structure and the workings between the school committee and the town council as well as the administrations. I think it's going to go a long way. And it's also will help us from, a bonding perspective. I would think, bonding agencies looking at it saying, okay, we have a plan in place to deal with that deficit. We're not just ignoring it.
And then last one before I open it up, how tight do we control to, these surplus numbers? For instance, if we don't get the projected surplus and we're off by a couple $100,000, is that an immediate step in to reevaluate this? Does it need to be resubmitted? Is it?
Yeah, I think we should be constantly monitoring it. I don't think there's a need to change it every, every year, every 6 months, but I think we monitor it and, definitely see come the end of this fiscal year, if we don't achieve that 900,000, $976,000 surplus, that's our starting point.
Right.
Right. So that I think at June 30th of this year, or once we close out the fiscal year, we really need to see where we're at. Are we at the right starting point for 27 and then just monitor it ongoing? So similar to where, I provide you folks with a budget actual comparison. The school department does the same thing with their school committee, and we should be reviewing that as well. Taking a look at that, making sure they're on target. If they aren't, then trying to deal with some cuts, because even revenue projections, right? Some of their revenue projections, they pushed up some of Medicaid revenue a little bit, pushed up some of the interest earnings. Well, we got to see where interest rates going. If those are decreasing, are we going to achieve the interest earnings? Same thing with out of district tuition reimbursements. They're figuring on having, with some of the renovations at the schools and different programs they're offering, bringing some students back into the district, so saving on those costs. So it's a constant monitoring. I think we have a follow-up meeting with the Auditor General next month just to see where we're at.
Okay.
Did it get approved, submitting it, and then he's looking at talking to us maybe once a year.
Gotcha.
He'd be happy not to meet with us monthly.
Yeah, so hopefully we get the third quarter report looking good in, a few weeks or a month. Yeah, Councilwoman Ionati.
So I had that discussion with you. Could we have, well, and like, hi. So with us monitoring it, can we put in with like budgeting, like maybe every 6 months to make sure that it's on that we are looking at it regularly, so we're not seeing it, plummet or go high, or we're keeping track.
I would
of it?
actually prefer to do a quarterly at a minimum. So every
So
quarter.
we would have
should be
that
getting
on,
the
we would have that on a regular quarterly, and that would be,
We will.
'Cause
Yeah,
I know
we
we-
currently meet with the
we
school
missed some
department.
budget reviews, and I don't think we should have that happen with this.
Right.
Okay.
I agree. And we meet with the school department. We meet with the superintendent and the business manager. We meet with them twice a month usually. So we always discuss these items, but definitely trying to get their updated financial position.
So is there a way to say, instead of try, that we have to have it every quarter?
Mhm.
Quarterly?
Yeah,
Instead of just,
I think-
hypothetically, like, we'll try. I'd rather see it be solid. We're gonna look at it every quarter. I don't know if we
Yeah,
can do that,
we
but
certainly-
I think
we certainly can.
that should be
Yep,
in the plan.
we
Okay,
can do that.
thank you.
Yeah, and something that's a little detail that a lot of us didn't know first is they actually share the same accounting system now. So, even worst case scenario, Bob, I think you can go in there and pull, reports and stuff like
Right.
that. So,
My
yeah.
point is just life gets busy, everybody gets busy, and
Mhm.
we could start to see it go
Mm.
downhill.
Yeah.
And it was neglected just because everyone was busy. So if you have it,
Mm.
we know when we're gonna look at it quarterly,
Quarterly, yeah.
that it's there.
Yeah, and I'd have to actually even follow up because I think Councilman Pascal, the ordinance you had proposed or the
Exactly.
resolution you
Yeah.
had proposed, we had recommended the school adopt the same thing. So if there's a
Yeah.
deviation of 5% or more within a budget line item, they're supposed to report it to the school committee. So
Supposed to?
there should be some, if they adopted that resolution, I have to see if they actually adopted the plan.
Yeah, they had mirroring legislation.
Okay.
So can I ask one more question? Are we gonna have like a red line point that we'll see a warning that, we'll seeing it go, I'll monitor it?
Yeah, I think similar to what I do.
Like-
We get a budget versus actual report from them. And, if we're 6 months through the year and they're
I know.
75% of the expenditures, why? There are certain reasons sometimes where you will be higher, but we can certainly,
Well, I'm just saying, just for an alarm, because I know we missed in the past, and
Yeah.
I'd hate to see that keep happening, just because I know everyone's busy, but.
Yeah. no, I think
it's
in the
important.
past, it was just a matter that the records weren't updated enough where I'd like to think that now, they're keeping up with the records. Like I
Okay.
said, we had the audit issued this year in a timely fashion. I know there's constant communication. I talk to them pretty much daily.
Good.
So I'd like to think everything's updated. So we shouldn't get surprised because we're not finding out until 7 months after year end. We should know where they're at.
Right.
By the end of June, we should know pretty much where they're at. They have an idea of what their year end accruals are for, summertime payrolls and all that. So
Okay,
we'll be on top of it.
thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Hall.
Thank you, sir, for that. Two quick questions. If I'm reading you correctly, you seem skeptical of the Medicaid reimbursements. You said it when they were here. Did you build any buffer in there, just knowing kind of how your mind operates, already anticipating those Medicare reimbursements to be a
Well,
little,
those are their adjustments, and I did review them. I
Okay.
don't have,
you don't have the authority,
I
I
don't have,
guess, to,
right, and I don't have,
but you're aware of it because that's the
have
second
concern
time
with-
you've mentioned it.
there could be, and it's just because
Okay.
they did so, their Medicaid reimbursement went up so much just in the past year, right? They made a lot of adjustments in the way they're billing and because it's all about capturing the codes, right? So make sure you're capturing the codes for the services you're providing and billing it out there. So I think they've done a good job with that. They're anticipating seeing some more increases. Now, we did have some, increase in the Medicaid reimbursement rates that they were able to realize. We're going to see that again. I'm not sure, but I think
Okay.
just their overall ability to capture and build it in a timely manner.
And then if words matter to me, so I just want to make sure that this is on the record. Under your projection assumptions, it states that we assume that FY '26 will conclude with a surplus indicated in the FY '26 budget of roughly 977,000. That number you have already stated, but it says that could be applied to the accumulated deficit. It was my understanding that it must be applied to the cumulative deficit. Or like, is that an accurate statement, or do they have?
No, again, I think whatever their surplus is, it falls right to the bottom line, right? So just from a financial statement presentation, you start with the deficit. For the surplus, it automatically reduces the deficit.
Okay.
Like what we're saying, they can't take that money and apply it to other funds. Like
They can't
couldn't-
use that
they couldn't-
976 to fund some other stuff.
They
It's
should
got
have
to.
fund other things,
Okay.
right? That
I
should
just
stay
wanted to make
within the
sure that
general
it could
fund.
be applied. I wanted to make sure that it was applied.
Yeah, there's
Thank you.
There's no choice. They don't have a choice. to use it.
Understood. I
think
just
everyone-
want, words matter.
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's why it was important that we keep it in context of the bigger thing that's going on here. We still have to meet with the Auditor General. They approve this. The risks, such as the reimbursement stuff and the timing, that's going to continue to be monitored. And let's say, for instance, that Medicaid doesn't, after year one of this plan, they'll flag that as a risk. And I would assume they would jump in and say, you can't use that in the next cycle. Make sure you pare that down quite a bit because it's proven to not be correct. So we'll stay on it. It's our biggest number in the budget. And, this is now the official version of what, the schools have already kind of shown us. And then this is the piece that goes to the Auditor General. I mean, I had that same question right where you were going. I mean, $1 million surplus. It's tough to assume that you can do that after what we've seen in the past. So, we're all going to be right to check on that and hope for the best. But hope isn't just something written on the state flag. We've got to make it happen. So, anyone else? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Savetti. Is that it for you tonight?
I think
Well,
there's
it's not
another
his word.
document there. I won't run away yet. but
Okay.
I think you also have in your packet is the budget versus actual
Yep.
through the end of January. So 7 months ended January 31st. And I'm not going to go through it all in detail, but again, same highlights, items that we've looked at in the past. And again, in accordance with the ordinance or resolution, I apologize, resolution 2025-46, I identified 3 areas where, we are projecting more than a 5% deficit in those line items. Again, solicitor's budget, but as you can see, the number that's been in this projection has significantly been coming down each month. Again, as some of the cases we have going on, and obviously with new solicitors, those bills have been reduced, on both ends with litigation and the solicitors. And within the budget versus actual, you'll see there are 2 different lines where we show solicitor's office and then other legal. And even though there's no budget line on that other legal, because when the budget was passed, right? But then once we started going through the fiscal year, we said, let's try to break out the expenditures. What are actually our solicitor bills versus what are outside attorneys? So that's why you see the 2 different line items under the solicitor's budget. The other line item, snow removal, as I said here, 80% of the budget was spent as of January 31st. Well, with the storm we just had, we're well over 100%. So stuff we can't control, but I think you look at many of the communities, I don't know any communities out there that haven't overspent their snow removal budget. And, we could sit here, you could second guess, should we have went with a higher budget? We've been okay over the last few years, and you get hit with the size storms we've had this past year. It's tough to manage. So but something we'll continue to look at, but that goes back with, hopefully we'll have savings in other departments in DPW, but also within other departments. So we did have the town manager had a directors meeting a couple weeks ago. We talked to all the directors, mentioned about, limiting spending. If it's not essential and you can do without it right now, let's do without. So, but that also goes with your question earlier about a fund balance, right? Why do we want to maintain a fund balance? So if you have problems like this, you can absorb some of it, right? Well, you'll never see me stand here in front of you and say, I want to spend or utilize some of the fund balance for any annual cost. But if something that comes up unexpected, at least we have that, if you want to call that a rainy day fund or the reserve fund balance to utilize. And then vehicle maintenance is one of the other departments where I believe we're going to be in excess of the 5%. There's just been excessive repairs on some of the vehicles, costs coming through, and with our director being out, some of the invoices were just backing up over there. Things weren't getting in there. So when I reported to you at the end of December, it didn't come up because I didn't see all these expenses. But now as everything's getting put in and they're getting caught up over there, it's where we notice that those lines being pushed over. But then, there's a couple diagrams in there. I know some of you like to see some colors and some charts, but just highlighting. So when you look at summary revenue and expenses, 7 months to date, we're at about 58% of the budget. But you can see revenue year to date, we're at 60%. Expenditures year to date, we're at 57%. So we're over on the revenue, under on the expenses. So obviously a good recipe to, good place to be at this point. And then the other page in there, I think maybe the fourth page and the fifth page, and it just shows expenditures by departments for the 7 months. We just laid this out as a little chart where you can see, the various departments and how much of the budget they make up. And then also what's been spent year to date. So you can see the school department is 66.29% of the budget. Year to date, they're at 58.3, which is right in line where they should be, right? We appropriate them, pay them out on a monthly basis. And right down the line. So you can see the couple departments that I highlighted that are over the 58.3%. Some that are over, even though we're not projecting, a deviation at the end of the year, it's because of just the timing of things. So workers' comp expense, other insurance expense is all paid in the first 2 months of the fiscal year. So we're going to have a higher expense in the first period versus later in the year. So if there's any other questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, maybe next time we could put these on like the mat they do at Newport Creamery with some crayons, if you wanted to really
Right.
make it nice. Councilman who?
I like wax crayons. A couple of quick points just to set the record straight. There's some talk going in, obviously our legal is above. We knew that. This council sitting up here didn't create that. We've changed legal counsel. We've adopted a legal counsel at a cheaper rate than what we were getting previously. So some of that legal line will, I think, start to balance out a little bit as some of the cases come down. We made a good choice with our solicitor. The other thing is, I'm concerned that there wasn't a contingency in place for the DPW director to submit invoices. I think that's a management thing. There should be, if any of our directors come out, the department can't stop.
Right.
So for invoices to not be submitted in a timely manner, to me is not acceptable. Nothing to do with you, but I'd like to see something in place there. So invoices still flow if the director or someone is not able to do anything. Besides that, the last point that I want to make, I sit up here a lot and I'm pretty tight when it comes to finances and I pick things apart a lot, but we have to give credit where it's due. Just a few short years ago, we were at $105 million in the red. Is that correct, roughly?
From a government-wide standpoint. yes.
Correct. For
Yep.
total overall deficit, because that's what
Deficit.
everyone's throws around online. So we were 105 in the red. We're currently 77, 75 in the red. So in 3 years, we've cut off $25 million. So just for that, kudos. I think we're getting somewhere. We can pick things apart, but you got to recognize the good where it is. One of the other last points I see in here that interest rates, we know what's happening with interest rates. Some of our stuff is in there. Are you really paying attention to that and, keeping an eye on that with the volatility? And
I am.
Okay.
We
As
move
best as
things
you can.
constantly. Yeah.
Okay.
So, as much money as I can tie up in a CD and try to maximize that rate versus staying in a liquid, basically, what do they call it? either money market, yeah, there's another term, but yeah, money market, different term. So I'm constantly
more
looking at
secure.
it. So, right. So
Okay.
right now we just had collection in the month of February. So we tied up some money in, in a higher yielding
Perfect.
account.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good point too. I mean, directionally, we're getting there. I mean, can we do better? We can always do better, but we are doing better. So I appreciate that. Anybody else? Questions for Mr. Savetti? All right. Now, I wouldn't.
I wrote it down.
He wrote it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will clip this YouTube.
Mr. President,
Thank
can you guys go back and just vote to approve the deficit reduction plan for us?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So we actually have a vote. Is that a resolution as well?
No, it's not a resolution. I think it's just it's the
A
plan.
vote to submit it?
Yeah.
All right. We'll entertain a motion to approve and submit the deficit reduction plan.
Second.
You can't make the motion.
Oh, I will entertain it. I'm entertaining it.
I'll second it.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve and adopt the proposed deficit reduction plan for the town council and school committee updated to 2026.
Something else added.
Okay, I second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's it for Mr. Savetti. Now we have Ms. Broadbent.
Where is she? Right, it's not a matter of whether you can hear me. Can you see me? Good evening, Maria Broadbent, Assistant Town Manager, and I'm just here to talk a little bit about some of the things that we have coming up for the semi-quincentennial. I'm going to get everybody to practice saying it, and you have until 4th of July to learn. Semi-quincentennial. So what that is it's the Rhode Island 250th and the nation's 250th anniversary. In your packet, I outlined some of the things that we've been working on. So our staff has been working with the staff from the school department, the Payne House, Nathaniel Green, and a number of others to come up with things that are enriching events for town residents. Coventry has a lot to be proud of. We had a workshop today, and thank you to Jen Sturgeon from the library, and to Joanne, the town clerk, and to Doug Dwyer, who's a local historian. We had about a dozen folks that sat and transcribed town council meetings from the 1700s, and it's really interesting stuff. One of the and we'll do it again. This was a reschedule from the blizzard from last week. In your packet, you'll see this scribbly thing, and what that particular town meeting was in September 1776. The town council meeting at the Waterman Inn. They voted to fund everybody in the Coventry militia. The town was paying for them to get a rifle, a bayonet, a blanket, a knapsack, which were really made out of pillowcases, and a cartouche bag, which is basically, they look like joints made out of gunpowder, and that's what they shoot in their rifles. So you need a special box to carry those in. And they voted on that, and then the following Tuesday, they all had to be to march and to be in Newport. Think about how hard that was to get there. We didn't have the bridges. So we really had a lot of fun doing that today. We'll do it again. There's some really fascinating stuff that's treasures in our own vault. We'll be taking what folks have transcribed and put them on the town's website so people can see some of the things that we've done. A couple things I wanted to just highlight for you. We have an art show and reception emceed by Council President Rajucci, coming up in.
If you keep setting me up with these kinds of jokes with joints and
Well-
bags, it's going to be electric.
Well, I'm thinking that, at some point we should have a traditional town council meeting because they're usually held at an inn. And, it would be great to see all of you on wigs and all of that. So think about that. We might have to make arrangements for that. You might like the wig. You might like the wig. So the library folks are working with all the different groups in town and the Historic Preservation Commission, and they have an art contest going on for any school-age children in Coventry to participate in. And we are going to be hosting the opening at the new Annex Community Learning Center. So that's going to be a great time to show off that new facility and have a bunch of kids in there and just really have a good time. And then the other one is the normal family festival that the Rec and Parks Department, this will be, I think, their 5th year. They're adding a parade to that so that we can, it's a kids parade, so we can get kids out there and marching bands and the ROTC and everyone to celebrate the town's semi-quincentennial with everyone else.
I love the
And
bicentennial.
was able to get a grant for about a little over $4,000 to help pay for those 2 events, some funding from the Secretary of State's office. And the last one I'll mention to you is the Secretary of State's office is providing a new Liberty tree to all of the towns in Rhode Island. Liberty trees were in colonial times where people met to whisper and talk about things that we didn't want the king to hear all of the planning and scheming that we were doing, and to celebrate things and to sign treaties and that sort of thing. So we're going to plant ours in the courtyard of the community learning center. So we've got I was able to get a grant for $120,000 to do the design for that courtyard, and we're going to incorporate that tree into that courtyard space because that's going to be the town's gem. That's going to be a place where the folks that are getting coffee at the cafe can walk out in the courtyard. The library can do outdoor programming. It can do story hour. You can just have a place to sit and butterflies and bumblebees and all that kind of stuff.
And was that on the other side of the annex? Where is that
It's
location?
in the center.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the center in between the wing that still has town offices and the wing that hosts the school department. There's a big courtyard. I would say maybe 4 times the size of this room. Yeah, it's going to be a really nice space.
Councilwoman Capaldi.
All these different events that are going to be happening, do you have like promos that you could send to the council so we can put it up on our social media to promote it?
Absolutely. The ones that the library does pretty things. So I can send you the ones electronically that they've put together.
That'd be
They're in
great.
your packet, but some of them, if it's left to me, I'm not good at pretty things, but we can share the ones that have been made. Thank you.
And so I'm just noticing all the different entities here. We've included everybody. Everybody's been outreached. Anybody who would be interested in this as far as town entities go, all of our historic societies and the whole deal.
Absolutely.
That's really
And
good.
the Recreation Parks Department has a list longer than I could even bring to you of folks that are already excited to participate in the parade. But
Nice.
Nathaniel Green's homestead is here. Nathaniel Green is probably, second to George Washington, the most important general of the Revolutionary War, and he's from here. So we've got Nathaniel Green, all the historic societies, the Patuxent Rangers. We've got a lot of groups that are going to come celebrate with all of you.
Sounds like you put together a great package of events for the semi-quincentennial.
You got it. This is the fun stuff.
No, that is.
Yeah, I'll
that
be
is-
up next meeting with fun stuff that isn't so much fun, but
All right. Well, we'll take it where we can
Take
get
care.
it. So,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you. I bet you do. All right, we can go right on down the agenda then, it looks like. We can hop over to item 5, and we would be on item B.
So item B is the will serve letter for Center of New England for Hopkins Hill Road. Joe, the town engineer, can explain that process. Also with us are Tim Eden and Matt McGowan. Tim represents Star Capital, Matt represents the receivership. They have some interest in this moving forward. We're also going to be talking other stuff with them in the future, but I know they're here if anyone has any questions about the projects that are kind of tied to this will serve letter. But before that, I'll let Joe start and I'll go from there.
Thank you very much. Take it away, sir.
Good evening, Joe Levesque, Town Engineer. You have a resolution before you to approve a sewer will serve letter for Star Capital LLC. This will serve letter will accommodate parcels 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8, all located in the center of New England. We've been working with the applicant for a while now to get this over the finish line. Tim Eden, who was with Star Capital, he had offered to perform the initial capacity analysis. So his engineer, VHB, performed that initial analysis, and the analysis revealed that the line does have capacity to handle all the existing and proposed flow that will come down Hopkins Hill. The town, performing additional due diligence, had our sewer consultant, Fussin O'Neill, perform an additional capacity analysis. We also did real-time flow monitoring in addition to projected flows for the existing. And our results did conclude that we have sufficient capacity in that line to accommodate these 6 parcels. The will serve letter does not authorize construction. The applicant will have to present applications for each parcel. So there will be an additional step in addition to this letter.
So
Thank,
can
thank you very much. Go ahead, Councilwoman. No,
So, can I ask you, what's the current available capacity right now?
Of the line,
Yeah.
I don't have that total number. That's buried somewhere in this analysis, but there is a chart in there that shows what the existing and proposed capacity, what percentage of that total will be. It just doesn't show the total gallons per
Look to
day,
your left.
but it does. Oh. So if you, yeah,
Do you know what page that's on?
91 of 158. So if you look at that one, it's 91 of 158. It shows the existing conditions, and if you look capacity used, it tells what percentage of the line is being used currently. If you go to the next 2 charts, the next one shows the existing flow with parcels 2, 3, and 4, and it shows what the capacity used will be. And then the next one on page 93 of 158 shows the full build out with parcels 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. So the highest capacity used in that scenario is 88%.
So now, does that include like wet weather peaks and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's, yeah, infiltration. It does account for that. Yeah.
And then you said it was parcels 2, 3, 5, 7, and 8.
3, 4, which are residential, and 5, 7, and 8, which are proposed industrial commercial.
I only had 2, 5, 7, and 8. 2-5. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you. And now, if there's any offsite upgrades, who's going to be responsible for that later?
So right now, we're not projecting any upgrades needed to accommodate the center of New England parcels tying in. If something does come up, there is language in the will serve letter that we'll have to have a discussion with the applicant to have a capital project to accommodate it.
Why wouldn't that be in there now? Only because
It is in the will serve letter.
for a discussion, but it doesn't say that.
Well, it does say he would be responsible, but right, but we would have to, there would have to be an agreement on, there would have to be an estimate and, you know, it would be a process. I'm not going to just give him the bill. We would have to explain exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it. So that when I say discussion, that's what I mean by that.
Councilman Hull?
Thank you for that. The only real concern that I think I picked up, if I'm understanding correctly, is between manholes 20 and 19, we're going to spike to right around 90%. And it states that the town engineer notes that this build out condition has reached that this potential that we're going to have to increase from a 10-inch diameter to a 12-inch diameter in that specific section. Who's going to be on the hook for that?
Well, if we're not foreseeing that to be an issue in the near term or part of this project, it would be down the road if we were going to tie in the planning areas on each side of Hopkins Hill, then the upgrade would be needed. So it would be many years down the road before we reach that.
But are we doing any work to those pipes now? Like, is the road going to be open for them? No. So it's all going to just connect underneath and we don't have to tear anything else up?
Yes.
So we're going to be giving this will serve letter. We're going to have to address that section between manhole 20 and manhole 19 at some point. It could be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. It may
Yeah,
never.
I'm envisioning the 10-year. It'll be
10-year mark.
It'll be
Yeah,
down there.
I think those project areas are somewhere between year 10 and 15 in the facilities plan. So it's pretty much, it's down the road. I mean, I think the importance of this will serve is it really opens the door to CNE to begin moving forward. I mean, we've been talking about this for quite a while now. This has been on the radar for quite a while now, and we're really waiting for this assessment and this analysis to move this project forward. As you know, this project ties into Star Capital making purchases, which allows Mr. McGowan to start rebuilding the road again, us putting a light there. So these things are kind of all tied together, and this is the first step in that process.
So just to be clear, right now, we really don't have any definition of like cost responsibility down the future, just nothing legally binding.
Well, if you look,
And we haven't created any binding obligations to them to do this, correct? Just by,
just what is stated in the will serve letter.
right, but that's not really a contract, is it? Like, that's not really, that's.
I think it might be helpful is if we distinguish what the will serve letter is doing versus what we still have control over as we move forward. So yeah, so the will serve gives us the ability to kind of move forward in a global sense, saying, you know, we'll do it. Maybe it would be helpful if you told us where there's the stop gaps kind of in between of responsibility. That might help.
Yeah, so the residential portions are going to be built within the next 5 years. So like I said, this does not constitute a construction permit. As we move forward, if we get to parcel, say parcel 5, that's the third one, say that's being built last, and we see that there is an issue, then we can move forward with doing any upgrades as needed.
And that's
But according,
the discussion of what you're getting at, which is who's going to pay.
So my point
Yeah.
is it binding?
Councilwoman Capaldi?
obligation to as far as capacity exists today? Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got to get,
No,
you,
I'm a midget.
yeah, no, you can pull it in if you want.
I'll pull
Yeah.
it. So is this letter creating any binding obligation beyond the capacity that exists today?
David, can you help me out with your analysis of this?
Again, the applicant, as any applicant's entitled to request from the town whether or not you'll serve their use in the sewer, right?
Yeah.
So they make that request. It's then up to the engineering department to determine whether or not there's capacity with, in this case, the town of West Warwick. Do we have it available capacity? And then do our lines and our infrastructures, will it support the project? If it is, based upon engineering, we submit this will serve. They now would have to submit a building, another application for the building permit, and they would also be responsible for this will serve says any cost associated with the construction of this and connection of this, they're responsible.
So we don't have any of those numbers yet about West Warwick.
Yeah, they have, well, yeah, I mean, the
With-
engineer could tell you that we have more than enough capacity from West Warwick, but my understanding is any application over, is it over 30,000 gallons?
Right.
Any application over 30,000 gallons or a commercial application needs approval both by West Warwick as a separate step, in addition to that is it DEM?
Yes.
At DEM. So there's four steps in this kind of project. Can we do it? Will West Warwick allow it? Will DEM allow it? And then they come back, can we build it? That's the four-step process.
So
We have,
approval by us isn't binding us into anything if the numbers go off.
the numbers are not off. These numbers are prepared by an engineer. We have to rely on engineering certainty.
So if you look at the table on sheet 93, this is the full build out. So this includes all of our existing flows coming down Hopkins Hill, in addition to the proposed by Star Capital. So according to this, the full build out would be 88% capacity.
Right.
So if we start tying in additional residential homes that are existing in the town, this number could start to creep up. At that point, then we're going to have to make a decision on what we want to do. But as far as the project is concerned, we're safe. We have capacity.
Okay, that was my point. I'm trying to understand. If it creeps up,
Yep.
what are we bound to? What happens then? Who's responsible? Where's the money coming from?
Money comes from, there's sewer assessment charges and there's an enterprise fund with the town, which probably the finance director, how much money is that enterprise fund? Approximately? All the people that are serviced by sewer councilwomen have to pay sewer assessment fees
Understood.
and sewer use fees. By state law, that money does not come into your general fund. It goes into an enterprise fund. Its purpose is for capital improvement of the project infrastructure when needed and necessary. If there's not enough money in that enterprise fund, then the town would do two things. They would bond for additional money, either with the assistance of the state infrastructure bank or an independent bond, and an additional sewer assessment would be applied across everybody in the sewer system. That's the worst, again, not the worst, but the most expensive possibility. Theoretically, the charges that are being charged and the sewer use charges and the sewer assessment charges are supposed to be calculated to anticipate future growth and development in the infrastructure. That's a forward-looking approach that your sewer authority is supposed to be doing and reporting to the town. And maybe that should be an item on your agenda. What is the status of the enterprise fund and what is their approach to future infrastructure? But that's not the question tonight. The question tonight is, was there an engineering certainty calculation performed to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty that this project can go forward without requiring the town to expend any funds at all? And do we have the capacity? So we're saying we can service you. You have to go to West Warwick, you got to go to DM, you got to come back, get a building permit, you got to pay all costs of any connection of that project. That's what the will serve letter served. I don't know if that's clear, but that's what it is. You're very well your comments are well taken in that you need to be mindful of with all this
Huge.
development.
Right,
Is there going to be additional
I just
costs
didn't want to get
associated
caught
with it?
into something that's a binding obligation after, and then but I'm
I
understanding.
mean, it's binding to the extent that we're saying we can
Right,
service this project.
right.
That's what we're saying.
We're kind of binding the capacity almost, not the money to invest in the system. We're basically saying, we'll serve you up to this point. After that, I
Is
think
that what happens?
that's the thing. If it's a new development, I think that's kind of the discussion piece the engineer was talking about. Let's say there was a new residential development that wanted to use that, and they determined that we need additional capacity. That's something that I think would be part of a new developments discussion. In the interim, the additional hookups I think we're going to want to look at is residential. And how much that adds to the capacity, because we don't want to shortchange the ability for people to get into the sewer system residentially. And I think that's what the solicitor's kind of saying is, that's a different topic for a different night, but something we should be mindful of. I'm sorry, you had a hand? Councilman Pasqua.
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the resolution, where are we here? 2026-14. I do want Central New England to work out. It's a very important piece of our town financially. I want to work with everybody. I don't want it to appear difficult in any way at all. I think we're grateful to have that area done up as commercial and that project to move forward. This is a very basic thing. We needed to do homework to figure out if we could pump through that system, and we found out we can, so we can serve that. That's all really it is at this moment. So I think I'm ready to approve this and look forward to future interactions with Southern New England coming before me.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I think Mr. Solicitor gave a great breakdown of exactly what we were looking at. Nice way to break it down.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
can't hold Star Capital responsible for future development as long as we have enough in there.
Yeah.
The next developer should have came quicker. I don't know. Thank you.
All right. We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? One more time. All right. Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And Madam Clerk, if you could please take a note about docketing the future discussion on the sewer enterprise fund. Appreciate it.
How they determine assessment.
Yeah,
sewer
we
use,
probably need a whole,
know how that account is being built up for the kinds of concerns that the councilman has presented.
yeah. Yep, this will be reoccurring in many different aspects, so thank you for that. All right. Moving on. Resolution 26-15. This is for the GZA. Did you have something on this,
Yes,
Mr.
so
Manager?
this has been going on for about over a year or so. We've been trying to get this project off the ground. So GZA has been doing the design and engineering for this Lake Tyoke Gatehouse. So if you recall, the town owns Lake Tyoke, the town owns the dam. Warwick Tree the town owns the gatehouse, Warwick Tree owns the dam. So it's a little convoluted. However, we're responsible for the gatehouse and all the underground infrastructure. All of that infrastructure is failing. This is a high hazard dam per DEM. So it's our responsibility to fix it. So we've been working with GZA and MAS to assess it. They did dives. They've been putting the plan together, so it's finally ready to go. We wanted to keep the price around $750,000. That's what we have set aside in opera funds. However, it came in above that. So we're asking the council to utilize the 750 in opera with the balance of 306 to come from the town's fund balance. I don't think this is a project that we can pass on or kick the can on. Something that has to get done. It's really part of the infrastructure for the town. So it's really important that we get this going. They're saying 3 to 4 month construction time, which means we should be done September, October, which falls in line with our December 31st deadline. So that's kind of where we are with this resolution.
I think I saw Councilman Pasqua first.
Couple questions, and I'm really not sure who can answer this. So Tyoke Lake has a spillway, but it was covered by rocks. So are we talking about removing these rocks and rebuilding the spillway as part of the plan? Is that what's happening here?
I know this includes the piping underneath the roadway that goes under Tyoke Ave and connects across the street. I'm not sure if that, Joe, do you know if it includes, I don't think it does include the spillway part of it. No.
Yeah, so we're going to rebuild the outlet control structure. That's what gets covered up by the gate. So it's the actual gate itself, the controls, and we're going to slip line the existing RCP pipe that's under there, and then install some new piping out to our property line. So that's basically the limits of the project. It's that low-level outlet control pipe.
Okay, good to know, because the resolution way, it says and spillway. That's why that was questioned, because there is a spillway there. It's just covered by.
Yeah,
rocks,
it's
and
right.
It was blocked off
Yeah,
many years ago.
it's not that.
Councilman
Motion to
Hu.
approve resolution 2026-15.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Discussion, Councilman Hu.
Yeah, two things. I think that Councilman Pascua should pull that and correct the verbiage, leaving the words matter. So having the word spillway in there, if we're not responsible or rebuilding it, it shouldn't be there. And the only other question that I have is, you stated that Warwick Tree Service owns what part again?
The dam.
Is there
Oh, I
any-
don't know if it's I don't know if it's under that entity, but it's the people that own Warwick Tree own.
Is there anything in there that they would need to repair that could potentially cause?
They've already done
They've already
a lot
done
of
their
repair.
section
Yeah,
to
and
it?
they're also helping us with a temporary gate right now because it was stuck open. So they've actually helped us out with a steel plate to limit the flow
Thank you.
of the leak. But yeah, they are doing their due diligence to help us along to get this straightened out.
And the only other major question that I have is what are we doing if these people don't finish in 3 to 4 months?
They're telling me they definitely will.
Are they
emailed me today?
would they be willing to write that they would do the work at 50% of the value if they don't complete it in that time frame?
I'm sure they won't.
Because we're potentially looking at $750,000 that we're going to have to come out with if they're confident in their work.
Well, he called me today. He says the contract signed. He goes, I want to get going. So he's ready to go. Like I say,
I want him to get going, but
3 to 4 months.
I'm assuming we pay from that bucket first. Right, yeah. So we would try to front load about, understand your point, how do we make sure we don't, we incur and pay 750,000 before the deadline.
Are there any clawbacks in this agreement? Anything? Any protections? It's almost like, hey, just finish when you want and I'm going to take your word for it, but it doesn't matter if you don't stick to it.
Well, if he finishes by December 31st, that's the last possible date. We think he's going to be done way ahead of that.
I would vote to
It's in
deny
the
this
con- it's in the
without.
contract. I mean,
Is there any
if it-
clawbacks in the contract? Any protections in the contract? Is there
think so.
anything besides just like, hey, you got to go by December 31st or you win and we lose?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I would deny this or table it until we had something in there that, we talk about words mattering. We talk about holding people responsible. And look, I'm not saying that they're bad people. If they're that confident that they can finish it in 3 to 4 months, then he should have no problem in putting his money on the line to December 31st.
I agree with Councilman Who wrote the contract? Is it a GZA contract or our contract?
MAS. It's a generic engineering contract, AIA contract.
Have you, solicitor, have you seen that yet? Put some clauses in there for protections?
Yeah, we definitely have protection under the contract, but the issue that you raised is not in there. And if you want to have a contingency, my only concern is twofold. One, are they going to charge us more for a deadline? In other words, my understanding is that the 31st deadline has got to do with ARPA money, not we just don't want to lose our ARPA money. Is that my correct, Administrator? It's really about that. And so we're
Yeah.
talking about, but if we want to put that in there, we can
I
definitely.
mean, is there a potential for obviously keeping a close eye on this, but let's say, September comes around and we're nowhere close. We still have enough time to shift the ARPA funds to something else to make sure we don't lose those, or would we be, you know what I mean? Almost, I don't want to say supplanting, but, kind of swapping that source to make sure we get it out the door and then backfill with, the other source, but
You can switch it to any of the other 10 projects that are left for ARPA funds. Yep.
Yeah, that may be escrow.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be spent. Again, we have overages and we're still pumping at the high school. So we could use it to pump at the high school still. So there's places we could use.
because, yeah,
use it.
that's your overall point is we don't want to lose that.
It's not only about losing it, it's just about like, hey, I'm approving a project based on money that my constituents don't have to pay. And if my constituents now have to pay, well, then I basically lied to them and I approved something that now we're paying, whether we're pumping the high school. I want to approve the money for what it is. And all I'm stating is any competent, I'm sure MAS Building and Bridge knows what they're doing. I'm sure these people have had a council sit in front of them and said, hey, you have to perform, right? We all have performance targets. They have to perform.
Yeah, and if he had
They
told
want
me-
$1 million.
and if he had told me it was going to be 6 or 7 months, I would have concerns.
Have you ever worked with these people before?
3 to 4 months.
Have you
I
worked with them?
I haven't, no, but I know
We can't attest to that 3 to 4 month time frame. That's just
Well, it's in the contract.
one person, one
It's in
vote.
it's in the contract. I mean, that means that they're going to be double the time. Is it possible? Anything's
But there's
possible.
no penalties for their contract, is what I'm stating, Mr. Manager. There's
Mm-hmm.
no penalty. It's a one-sided penalty. We're the ones getting penalized. They could go until December of 2027, and they're still going to get their $750,000. We're not.
No,
That's all I'm asking.
The contract says December 31st, 26.
But if they don't do it, what's the penalty?
If
There isn't one, so it's one-sided is all
Yeah.
I'm saying. It's a
If the council
one-sided
wa- if
contract.
the
I want to
council wants
win in
to-
every contract.
council wants to delay it, that's no problem. I
You
understand.
get opera extensions?
No. Point of order.
Yes, sir.
This is important enough and we have so many meetings next week.
Yeah, I was going to say the
Um,
same thing.
If you just table it, but it's not going to lose anything with a week, are we, Mr. Manager?
I don't think so.
And that will give us a chance to talk. And if they're willing to just put a deadline on there, and lived by the deadline, then that's how, is that the only issue the council's concerned with?
I just want to make sure that we are not on a losing end of a contract. That is my,
I'm-
if it was $1 or 1 million, I want to make sure I'm not losing.
I'm just making a suggestion. That's something we could have a quick conversation with, and if they're
Yeah.
happy, we could have it
Oh, I
on
know.
the agenda next week.
We're going to see each other plenty. Did
Well,
Mr.
I just have
Okay.
one thing to add before. I'm just going to check with the engineer of record on that verbiage, the spillway. I just want to make sure that he's not referring to some sort of a component within the part of the project that is being replaced. So I'm gonna talk to them first, and maybe we can just clarify if it is intended to be called a spillway, a portion of it, not the portion you're talking about with the rocks. But
This entire resolution to me sounds scary. There's words in here that we don't know what they're relating to. There's deadlines in here with no win for the town. I want to fix it. Lake Tyoke is important. I'm all for fixing it, guys. I'm not denying that. I want to get it done as soon as possible, but not on the backs of my constituents.
I think we need to retract the motion. I didn't say me. I said we, John, has to retract the motion, and why don't we just table this? Yep.
We think, as long as I'm clear on what the council wants to achieve,
Two things,
correct
yeah.
the resolution, determine the spillway language in or out, and
Yeah.
put some teeth into the deadline.
Yeah, even if it's something that, us explaining that this is contingent on, utilizing these funds by such and such a date, even if we can say,
That's what
You know,
council wants.
yeah.
We lose, they lose. That's going to be in the contract.
we need 75% progress at least to make that payment. Yes, sir. Let me guess.
It's me again. Like to make an amendment to my motion. I'd like to actually table this resolution, resolution 2026-15 to the March 10th council meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion to table. We have a second. Any discussion on the tabling? All right.
Takes priority.
Over what?
Any motion.
Ah, okay. Of course it does. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Right. We accept you as you are. No, it's all good discussion. We don't want to lose. All right. No. We are all out of order. All right, so let's go back to the top of the agenda and do public comment on docketed items. Please come on up, state your name and address for the record. Looks like it's you first tonight. Thank you very much. And this is docketed items. Thank you.
You want me to start again? Okay. Lisa Narkowitz, 21 Beach Street. I didn't have any intention of speaking tonight. However, I would encourage you to keep in mind with this resolution for the gatehouse at Tyoke that if this disrupts the summer season at Tyoke, you will have a lot of unhappy taxpayers. This was supposed to be done before the season started. It was supposed to be done in time for trout fishing day, and apparently that's not going to happen. So just keep in mind, the longer you postpone it, the greater the chance you're going to have a lot of disgruntled taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Oh, Councilman Pasqua?
Dan, Town Manager Perillo, question on that. Are they talking about building like a coffer dam around the gatehouse so we don't lose water level over there? Okay, so we won't lose the water level. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else in chambers? Public comment, docketed items? If not, Cody, let's take a look on Zoom. Any hands? All right. No. All right. That'll do it for that item. All right. We'll go public comment on undocketed items. Anyone in chambers need to speak on undocketed items? All right. If not, Cody, how's Zoom looking on undocketed? Public comment, undocketed items. Right. Thank you very much. Councilwoman?
Can I say something on an undocketed item?
Yeah. Mr.
I just
Solicitor, how
wanna-
does that work? Do you want to? Yeah, I was going to say to you.
I just want to thank everyone who donated at the food drive. Thank
Oh.
you, people of Coventry. Your food went to the schools in this town and everyone's happy. So thank you. Elisa Capaldi, 148 Town Farm Road.
Thank you for that. All right, we are on to new business. Item 7. We have a presentation by Gravity for budget software. Is that a remote presentation? Okay.
Yeah, so we have attending this evening Rob Battaglia and Brian R. Scott from ClearGov, also Gravity. ClearGov and Gravity is currently going through a merger, so that's why you see both companies' names. But where this started over the past, year or couple years, the town council has mentioned about, a budget book and trying to put more information into a budget book than just the numbers. As you looked at last year's budget book, we had some additional information and they're trying to build it. So they're going to give a brief presentation of what their company offers as far as the budget software, how that software could be, utilized by not only council members, obviously in-house, but also the general public, having some availability and being able to look into it. So again, they'll do a presentation online. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Savetti. And come on in, introduce yourselves, and Have at it.
Thank you. This is Rob Battaglia from ClearGov. Just to confirm, can everybody hear me and see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Well, I'm joined by my colleague Brian Arscott. We appreciate the opportunity by council to present tonight. As was just mentioned, our company ClearGov, we are a cloud-based budget software company. As was just alluded to, ClearGov and Gravity have joined forces, both leading providers of cloud-based technology in the local government space. We're now under the one ClearGov umbrella. Just for greater context, for those who might not be familiar with our company, ClearGov, we work with over 1,700 local governments across the United States. We're actually based in New England and Maynard, Massachusetts. And we really just are focused on local government. All of our software is built for towns and cities, school districts, communities, just like Coventry. In New England itself, we work with hundreds of local governments. Off the top of my head and looking at the screen here, the town of South Kingstown will actually look at an example of what they're doing with our software in Rhode Island, but tons of communities across Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and all across New England and the Northeast. And really where we're coming at this from is, talking with staff, it sounds like the annual budget process is very similar to the budget process for a lot of our clients before they purchase ClearGov, where it's incredibly Excel-based and it exists outside of the accounting system. Talking with staff, it sounds like the annual budget for Coventry is made up of a giant Excel sheet with 30 plus tabs managed manually and circulated across departments. And it takes many months, many rounds of review, many hours to put the budget together. And oftentimes with that heavy Excel process, not only is it manual, but it's tedious, time consuming, and sometimes it's error prone. And we here at ClearGov believe that there's a more modern approach to the annual budget cycle. What we have designed is a budget cycle management suite with a handful of different modules designed to digitize every aspect of your budget process. We believe with this more modern approach that the town can streamline its annual budget and financial reporting to improve efficiency, accuracy, and make it easier for the council and the public to better understand the budget, increasing transparency. And the best part is our software is designed out of the box to complement your existing accounting system. I understand you're using Keystone over at the town. So ClearGov works with several communities across the country that use that same accounting system. Our software has an import-export interface designed to complement your existing accounting system. So ClearGov would sit on top of Keystone in the cloud, and the other aspects of your financial operation would not change. So general ledger, accounts payable, utility billing, all of that would stay the same. Think of ClearGov as a way to digitize those Excel spreadsheets and work alongside your existing system. Just to kind of bring your imagination to life a little bit about how our software would fit into your process. When it comes to working with departments to collect their budget requests and create those different stages of the budget, our system will be a cloud-based environment where if you were using it today for the FY27 budget process, a department can, in one centralized workspace, submit an FY27 budget request along with an FY26 end of year estimate, along with up to 10 years of forecasting beyond FY27. They can include notes and attachments and itemized details. There's a fund balance simulator in the system. There's an audit trail, and even council members can log into the system and provide reviewer comments and notes and ask questions among staff right there in the workspace. When it comes to personnel, our system makes it easier to automate those complicated calculations around salary and union wage schedules, benefits, additional pay, make it easier to calculate long-term personnel planning around current positions, new positions, future planning, and even union negotiations as well. When it comes to capital planning, our software can make it much easier for the town-wide to collect, create, and communicate its capital requests, its capital budget, and its multi-year capital improvement plan using a digital workflow with digital forms and a cloud-based database. It'll make it easier for departments to submit capital requests with images and attachments and geographic locations and much more detailed budget estimates, not just for the budget year, but those future capital years as well. And then finally, as was alluded to by staff, our software is going to automate digital interactive budget documents, budget books with much more detail. You're going to feel like you have the same quality of documents that, larger communities like Boston in the area have, but at a fraction of the time that it takes them to create these documents. Our software is going to build your budget documents around the Government Finance Officer Association's industry best practices. There'll be charts and graphs and lots of written narrative. And there's also going to be transparency sites to show ongoing financial activity, those budget to actual updates as they're happening throughout the fiscal year. And to show you what we're talking about, I want you all to imagine, instead of a budget book and budget presentations that look something like this, with our software, we're going to go from this to something like this. So this here, as an example, is South Kingstown in Rhode Island. This is their budget document. This is their budget book that they build using our software. And you can just see, compared to a static PDF, this is a digital, interactive, website-based presentation of the budget. What's nice is using our software, it's built around the GFOA, the Government Finance Officer Association's Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. The GFOA Budget Award's been the national standard for the last 40 years on what a budget document should look like. Our software is going to get you all of those industry best practices, the types of best practices the auditing firms and the credit rating agencies are looking for when evaluating this content. What's nice is not only can our software bring a lot of the financial content to life, but it's also going to make your narrative and non-financial data much more dynamic. So something as simple as demographic information, we can automate that and populate that in your budget book moving forward. We have a connection with the Census Bureau to bring that type of data to life. This is the town's actual demographic data, total population information, daytime population information, age group distributions, household information. So this type of important background information provides good context to the financial decisions this town council is making. From a financial perspective, from a meat and potatoes perspective, right here, we're looking at South Kingstown's budget. No longer will it just be, hard to read and manually produced Excel reports where you almost have to be an accountant to understand these. These are going to be dynamic documents with interactive charts and graphs that make it easier for the council members and the public to better understand the budget. And it'll be a very customizable document around all of those industry best practices as well. So you can still show, that data table to accompany the interactive charts and graphs as well. From a department's perspective, we're going to make it much easier for your departments to collaborate with the finance team and the administration to work on the budget. They'll be able to streamline the way they submit their operating line item requests, their personnel requests, their capital requests, as well as their narrative for the budget. So they can directly enter missions, descriptions, goals, accomplishments, performance measures, organizational charts right there in the software. We can see here for South Kingstown, this is one of their departments. This is the IT department. They've added who the point of contact is, some personnel detail, an organizational chart. And for the most important document they're producing all year, they're including all of that narrative describing what they want to do with their budget for that upcoming year, right? Their mission statement, their functions, their priorities, their goals, their objectives, right? I know this council probably wants to know, if the highway department's asking for X amount of money, to achieve its certain goals, you're probably going to want to know that next budget cycle. Did you meet your goal? Did you exceed your goal? Did you not meet your goal? Having that data readily available in the budget for context as you're looking at that next budget request is going to make the budget that much more of a powerful policy tool and communications tool instead of just a static financial report. From a capital project perspective, here is South Kingstown's this is their FY27 capital plan. So this is something that they actually just put out recently. It's very dynamic, it's very clean, very easy to read. We could see what they are having the capital plan for FY27 and those future years out. That it is from an expense perspective. Here it is from a funding source perspective. And what's nice is it makes it very clean and really easy to understand exactly what those capital projects are in the capital plan. We can see here an example of one of those is a town hall fire alarm upgrade. So nice narrative, some images. It's very transparent. It's very easy to understand as both a stakeholder internally as well as a member of the public. From a transparency site perspective, again, our system is going to make it really easy to provide those infographics and those dashboards for someone on the council or someone from the public to really understand what's happening from an activity perspective with the town's finances. Here's a community that does a really good job with this, being able to show easily what was budgeted, what's been collected or spent to date on the revenue and expense side, automated charts and graphs, bringing that data to life. We can see all of the historical data and the data for the current year. And what's nice is as a viewer of these transparency sites or the budget book, it's very clean from a navigation perspective, right? No longer having to comb through dozens of pages or hundreds of pages, using, clickable buttons to drill down and see that information. It just makes it that much easier at our fingertips. And then finally, in addition to the dynamic documents and the dynamic transparency sites we're looking at, of course, if anyone in the public or if anyone on this council wants to print any of this content out, of course, we have the professional PDF generation in addition to that interactive document. At any time, anybody can print this out. You can print out these documents with a click of the button or pieces of these documents, and you'll get a professional looking PDF as well that looks something like this with an automated and properly numbered table of contents. So in a nutshell, our software is going to complement your existing financial system. It's going to save staff a ton of time in producing the budget, replacing that Excel manual process with a much more streamlined cloud-based process. And it's going to produce much more transparent, much more interactive budget presentations and financial transparency sites. I appreciate the opportunity to present today. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much for the thorough overview. Councilwoman Capaldi?
This is fascinating. Your platform looks awesome. Question to Mr. Savetti. Were we shopping for something like this, or did they just come knock on? I mean, 'cause this is great. I mean, who doesn't want something this pretty and easy? But were we shopping for something like this?
Yeah, so based on discussions we've had with the council over the past year or 2 years, and then we had, I think, one of the local residents who's the assistant town manager out in South Kingstown. So we worked with him a little bit, saw what they had. We looked at a couple different companies that were offering this. And then, this
So
was-
is
we
it
thought was the best
is it
one.
budgeted?
It's not budgeted in the current budget, so that's where we're looking at right now. Is it something that the council's, interested in moving forward to? We would actually, bake it into next year's budget. The impact on this year, they'd be happy to work with us. We're told that, to deal with the price for the current year, because obviously in the current budget cycle, we wouldn't be able to get everything in there and up and running. But if we would engage them now, we would hopefully have a budget book by the end of the budget, so it wouldn't be available, as we're doing the budget. But we would get the 2027 information in there, get a budget book. So then starting in 2028, fiscal 2027, excuse me, in July, we'd have that information available on the website, be interactive. And I think, one of the nice components, and Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but the information does get updated in real time. So you log on today, like this evening, I gave you information on, January 31st. If you were able to go into the system, if we had that on the website, you would see where we're at right now. So with the snowstorm we just had, you'd see what the impact is with all those transactions posted. So it's real-time data, which I
Does that
think is a
come right
big
in from
advantage.
Is
I
Keystone?
still have another
Right, it
question.
links directly in with Keystone. So my understanding, it may not be like instantly if I posted a transaction now, you would see it. But I think every night at like 1 a.m., we could set it where the information would get uploaded. That next morning, you'd have everything through the previous day.
Makes sense. Go ahead, Councilwoman. Sorry.
To the gentleman that was speaking, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your first name. What's training like on this? What's the timeline to train? Do you train one person and the director has to then train everybody? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually have a slide here to just assist me with my description or my answer to that question. So short answer is the overall implementation is about 60 to 90 days. That covers three things. That covers us building out the product around your data architecture. And as was just alluded to, right, we're going to set up that connection to have the two systems talk to each other. We're going to build in your chart of accounts, your historical data. The other components to that 60 to 90 day implementation include training for staff and also any customization. We're allotting some time for what that might look like, right? Your documents are going to look a little different than South Kingstown's as an example. On the training piece of it, you're going to get assigned an implementation manager who's going to be your quarterback, essentially. Just like we're working with the town on the outside, they'll work with the town on the inside. And they're going to work to make sure that everyone gets trained properly. We kind of take a multi-phased approach. So first, everyone's going to have a login, and based on the permission whether you're, town manager, finance director, someone on the finance department staff, right? You're going to get trained as an administrator. A department head would get trained as, contributor, right? The level of detail, the, highway director or public works director needs to know is going to be a little less than the finance director or someone on the finance staff. So they're going to get trained differently. Same thing as a council member, right? Someone who has a reviewer permission will get trained a little differently. So the first level of training are some on-demand videos you can watch at your leisure. Some people watch those all in one day and they're ready to roll. Some people take a phased approach to that. These videos are very basic. It's click this button to do this. Think of that as kind of the 100 level class you took in college as a freshman. And then after that are the more complicated, more detailed trainings we do as a group, right? So we'll do, workshops where we do the level 200 to level 300 training. So you get the most out of the software. So it's a multi-pronged approach, on-demand videos, many-to-one webinars and workshops. In addition to all of that, we have obviously your dedicated rep with a name and a phone number and an email you can contact at any time, not some info account you send a message to and hope you get a message back. They're there to provide you support throughout the life of being a client. There's also on-demand phone and email support. That phone support's available from 9 to 5 Eastern, and the online support is available from 9 to 8.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Ionati.
Hi, so I actually sell technology, so software technology, so programs. My questions are, how long is your contract? Are you locked? Obviously, you're locked into a contract, and that's not a problem. And I like this. I like software, and I like how this works. I like Salesforce and everything else. It's a lot easier. My question is, though, how long of a contract do they have to sign on for? Is it automatic renewal? Or does it just automatically renew and nobody's going to look at the contract after? And as far as proposal, is there add-ons that you can add on, or is there not add-on? Is there just a straight flat program in itself with no add-ons?
Yeah, great question. So to keep it simple, our software is billed on an annual basis, so it's an annual subscription. Usually clients align that with their fiscal year. So the renewal, I would imagine, for the town would be July 1st. And then you're notified of your upcoming renewal. I believe it's 60 days out. So someone's going to be talking to you, but we're in constant contact with our clients. We do quarterly check-ins with them. So we're not looking to catch you by surprise with the renewal. We take a very consultative partnership approach to this. From a
30-day
pricing,
renewal ahead, and I'm just saying, I'm not saying anyone's canceling. I'm just, because of contracts with software, is it a 30-day out, a 90-day out?
depends on the agreement. I believe it's a 30-day notice, but we usually notify you 60 days ahead of time that a renewal is coming.
Okay.
But again, we have 1,700 clients. We're not looking to catch anyone by surprise. We want to work with people who want to continue to work with us.
Now, if we canceled, not saying we are, everything's is able to be downloaded to like a CVS. We keep all our data, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. All your
Okay.
data is your data. Right. You can download that out of Excel files, CSV files, PDFs, PDF, the budget books. And then on the pricing, so there's an annual cost that is derived from the number of modules you want. So we offer, I believe, about 10 or 12 different modules now. But the core budget product, which is what we're talking about, that is made up of 5 products. So that's the subscription and the quote we've given to the town. It's the budget modules to develop the budget, operating personnel capital, the budget book, which is the presentation and the transparency. That is an annual cost. And then there's also a one-time setup cost. If
Can you
wanted
waive
to-
that setup cost?
Could we waive the setup cost?
Yes.
The quote we gave to the town, we're happy to re-review that with our
Okay.
team. If the administration, if the executive team and the finance team want to talk about that, we're happy to have that discussion.
The setup cost and the time frame from now until July 1st is 29,000. Then the annual fee is $46,000,
What's the setup fees?
25,000.
25,000 for a setup fee?
Yeah.
Can you do numbers on that setup fee? Can you work with that? Can you work numbers?
Is that
on
a
the
question to
setup
me?
costs, on setup
I don't
costs?
think we can negotiate anything like that yet, but
just-
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
we
you
can work on all
You
that.
can.
This
no, I mean,
point of the
not
scene-
at this
I'm asking
moment.
questions because I want.
The point really was to, demonstrate
Yeah.
what they have. We could talk about the pricing. One thing just to add, when you're talking about the setup, my understanding is they're going to take all the data. So if we give them past 5 years, they're going to be getting that 5-year history into the book. It's a lot of
Oh,
initial
I
lift
understand
on
what
their end,
I,
but, yeah.
I'm asking, I understand what it takes, but I also understand there's things that software technology can do.
Right.
And I'm
Yep.
very knows. That's my point.
Like I said, we're happy to, again, talk with staff and figure out what works best if the town is interested in partnering with us. I will note that we
Oh, I
differ
totally
than
believe in it. It's a great tool.
we
It's a
differ
great
than
tool.
we differ than most government technology providers, where we just charge an annual subscription and a one-time implementation cost. We do not charge for nickel and diming you on training and support. We don't nickel and dime you on logins. We don't nickel and dime you on new product features. We really believe in providing a value and a number that you can budget for, and that you can plan for how much not only the software will cost today, but based on that agreement, you can see what the software will cost you 10 years from now. So that's the
Oh,
approach.
I believe it would be I believe it would be a great tool for the town. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Questions, comments? All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much.
All right. We've got one more item tonight under new business. Item B, we have discussion on comp plan process and analysis by the Planning Commission. Good evening, Director.
Good evening, Doug McLean, Planning Director. I didn't have a big presentation or overview. I came generally in response to any questions that might exist. I know there was interest in a potential resolution to get information before the comp plan. So really, I just want to be a resource to you if you have questions.
Appreciate that. Might be helpful if we just do a general progress update maybe, or timeline almost.
Yeah, we're at the council heard from me on this, may have been a month or two ago. We discussed wanting to get this into a position where the plan was going to be before the council in 4 months. I think we're tracking. We had a discussion with the Planning Commission about this at their last meeting. The Planning Commission has been given a recent draft. We do have a web page that's available. You can find the link through the Planning Department page. We're eager to actually utilize town Facebook, other means to really get the word out. The plan is available to review. I think I wanted to have this conversation tonight just before we launch a more open-ended public outreach. But where we're at is we think the plan is in a position to consider it for the really public outreach, public feedback, initiate a hearing process with the Planning Commission. The normal process is that they would review it through a public hearing process. They would review all the comments, consider all of them, work that document into a place where the Planning Commission is comfortable. And then after that, it comes to the town council for ultimate adoption by the town council. Right now, if I had to guess, I think that this might be in front of the Planning Commission for 2 meetings, perhaps in March and April, leaving this to the council in about May. This council has heard from me before on this, but it's worth reminding. We have a contract to update the housing chapter of the comprehensive plan. So really, we're kind of approaching this as if there's 2 tracks. We have a plan right now that we believe is ready for local adoption. We'd like to still continue to work on and advance what's in the housing chapter specifically. We really want that to be the best chapter we can get. We have resources and a consultant to do that. We were able to get those resources for free from the state. And we anticipate that that effort will continue to take place while we're adopting the local plan now. And essentially, we will then adopt the new housing chapter. I would guess that might be coming towards the fall or end of the calendar year of 26. So we may be looking at a local adoption in May, June, July, depending on the council's interest. And then having any interested parties also engage in what's in the housing chapter through the summer into the fall, and having that document wrapped up towards the end of the calendar year. That's a pretty quick overview, but any questions, happy to answer.
Nope, that's helpful. Thank you for that. And Councilman Hool.
Not a question, more just of a point. We're getting our butts handed to us. You know this by some of these housing developments, and this document is, to my understanding, the reason why we're not able to deny any of these. I think that the comp plan should be number one on your desk all the way through until it's finalized. So whatever that speed of that process is, because towns are not winning, pushing back against some of these LMI units without this. So we're going to have another one coming in front of us. We just got nailed on Tyoke, where this needs to be first. I think on everyone's agenda here, every department head, whether it's planning committee, are you waiting on RDA also to give input on this? Like who are we waiting on? I'm having a hard time grasping the timeline.
Sure. We did get information from GZA related to what they thought needed to be in the comprehensive plan to set up the redevelopment plan. We got that from them mid-January. That's now been incorporated into this document. We've basically got the document to a place where we're ready to initiate a more robust public engagement, make sure people know that this is an opportunity to see the full document as it's been reconstituted, get the public feedback going, use the Planning Commission hearing process, initiate the Planning Commission hearing in March, and then this is a big complex document, so I can't guarantee how many meetings it would take. I don't think it'll be one, but I don't know if it'll go past two. So that's the timeline on it. I think when you discuss the concept of if we have a comp plan, are we in a position to deny certain developments? There's a couple of components to that. It's not quite black and white. You get a comp plan and then you get to say no to future comprehensive permit LMI developments. There's really two components. You need a comprehensive plan that addresses how the town wishes to develop affordable housing, and then you need to demonstrate you've made progress against that plan. I think this town's in a unique position because I think we have a number of units that we can identify are in the pipeline. You don't count the units until they're achieved a building permit. So essentially, we have an opportunity to develop a roadmap, identify where we're going to achieve affordable units, where it's appropriate to achieve those affordable units, then make progress against that. And then we're in a position to demonstrate that we have made successful progress, and that is the teeth you need against certain types of developments.
And I think that that's where some of my my frustration comes in is, we knew that, I'm going to quote it as the Circacci law was coming in with this housing development in January of 2024. And now we're in March of 2026. And we've only hit 50% of what we need to push back on the LMI units, right? The comp plan is number one that you mentioned. You need that. So we're already out of the race by not denying, but pushing back against any of these because we don't have this document. I can't stress enough how important it is to my constituents to, Tyoke's not even in my district and I was hearing it. It needs, I thought we were submitting the housing section first. Is that still on track there? We were going to submit that. It was at a B. We were going to submit it, get it approved, bring it back, redevelop it, get it to an A. Is that no longer happening?
That is still happening, but no, that's the second piece. The developing the housing element. So essentially, little backstory, take a step back. When we submitted this document to the state, it was, I came into the town with the idea that the comp plan was almost ready. It was submitted to the state recently when I came into the town about 2.5 years ago. The state came back with comments that the housing element in particular, particularly the affordable housing components of the plan, were woefully deficient. So it was not going to pass state muster. We really didn't develop our local plan for how we want to develop affordable housing. So we had been working on that, getting that to the point where it would reach state adoption. In the process of that, we've been able to conduct some audits of that plan. And again, we've gotten that document, like I've mentioned before, that housing element piece is, I think it's at a C level, but I really want this plan for this community to have an A level document. I also think when you think about the critical elements of timing, if this comprehensive plan was adopted today, I don't think we would be able to demonstrate sufficient progress over the last few years in new affordable developments and new affordable building permits and certificates of occupancy coming on in the last few years for it to have met the two prongs of having a plan and having progress. I do think we may be in a position, if we adopt this plan, a good plan that lays that foundation of exactly how and where we want to grow. Again, we have some eyesight and some idea in the pipeline of where we are going to get the units. So we have an opportunity to draft this plan in a way where we know we're going to make progress, and then also shape where do we want to see that future growth and density and where do we not. And I want to get that right. If we get that right, it does become a valuable tool, but we still need to show we've made progress. And we haven't had the level of development that left us with progress over the last few years, but I do anticipate having that in the future coming years.
Councilwoman Ionati?
So with the comprehensive plan, my issue with it is that our percentages do not go up until those homes are built and people are living in them at all. Like, just because we have it on the dot, just because it's in the plan, in the pipeline to be built, that does not raise our percentages at all. So we could have 30 builders come in and it never raised it because nobody's living in that residence. So that to me is a nightmare to look at, and it's awful, and I think that needs to be changed, but that's obviously not up to us. But that's huge. But I do agree that we can direct where we want those homes to go until we get that percentages up. Now, what percentage are we at? 6.5?
Yeah, about that.
About 6.5, correct?
Yes, that's
And then
about
our first development coming in should be built with residents in about how long?
Our first development?
Yeah, like our first units that we have that's going to raise our percentages, they have to be living in them. They have to, it just
Yeah.
can't be a built foundation board. They have to be living in them.
You're correct that the units count once there's a certificate of occupancy. and
Right.
People are living in them.
Right.
I mean, there's developments that we're reviewing right now. If you're asking like the developments we're reviewing today that are getting approvals by the Planning Commission today, when will they be built? That's difficult to pinpoint because it depends on the developer's build up, but it could be a year to 2 years down the road.
Right. So that's a huge problem for our town.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For every town, actually. That's why resolutions are going in, because of the fact that we have we have so many buildings and residents coming up, but that hasn't moved our percentages at all. So I don't think people are really grasping that piece of it, that this is a huge problem. And especially the density part. And especially we have terrible infrastructure. I mean, let's face it. So I think this is the most, we have to protect this town. And I'm a strong believer in that. And I think the most that we can do is put in a great comprehensive plan for our town and to try to direct where we can. West Greenwich did a good job of it. East Greenwich is doing a good job of it. Portsmouth, I mean, just to try to direct, I totally agree with that. But it's those percentages that I don't think anybody understands the urgency and how horrific that could really be for the town.
And if you could just help explain on that point, all the upcoming developments, that's the kind of thing that we would put in to the comp plan to demonstrate what we've got in the pipeline. So it's
It's a little nuanced. It's not like
Yeah.
you'd use the comp plan and say, there's a project by this name and that, once we get that project built, that's the progress. It's a little more nuanced than that, but you do put parameters around where you want to grow. You put parameters around the strategies you're going to use to grow. One of the things that our town is going to have as a main strategy is achieving affordable units, even in an environment where they're not regulatorily required by the developer through state or local ordinance. We actually are getting units because we're working with developers. We're prioritizing it in our review. The council has seen projects where there was zone change needed, and we asked for certain percentages of affordable. So we're getting affordable units in some ways without them being these state mandated projects. That's a key strategy for us. And we are going to be able to show progress on that strategy, not today, but when the units are built over the course of this next 2, 3, sometimes 4 years, depending on how these projects are built out.
So I know that we can't stop that, but are we keeping a mental cap in the back end of how many projects we have, actually, what percentage we're at now?
Yeah.
Where would we be now if all of them went off today? What percentage would we be at if they were all?
No, I'm good, David. Thank you. David's asking if I wanted notes. I sent David an email with a couple of projects and where we'd be with hard counting numbers with them, how that increases our percentage. It's hard to just say, let's count all the developments we have now and where do we end up.
Give me a ballpark. I mean, it doesn't have to be all of them, but.
We were counting some units today and not counting comprehensive permits, which there are comprehensive permits. There's comprehensive permits that were approved several years ago.
I'm worried about the percentages for the comprehensive plan. So if we had certificates of occupancy on some of these, say 4, what percentage would that rise us right now?
4 additional
Like
units?
for contractors, like the village of Tyoke. If we had 4 developments like that right now would get certificate for occupancy, what would it raise? What do you feel a percentage would be at right now? We're at 6.5. Where would that raise us? To what percentage would you assume?
If I'm understanding your question, I think you want to know how many units equals a rough percentage point. Is that what you're asking for?
Sure. I mean, if you want to go that way.
We currently have 978 verified counted units as affordable housing. That equals to about that 6.5%. If we were to add an additional 100 units of affordable, then we're in a position where that might raise our percentage slightly less than 1 point. You might be going from 6.5 to 7.25 by adding 100 units or so. I did do some counting with David on some of the projects that we have that are getting approvals now. I think we discussed that there might be getting up to like 7.75 on a few of the projects, but I can't say that's not a
But
comprehensive
then it's
count.
always a bouncing ball and it's always a moving scale anyway. So actually it's a never ending stop.
Well, it's an interesting thing. Here's something to be aware of how they count the percentage. There's 2 numbers in the percentage. There's the number of affordable units and then there's the number of townwide
And
units.
density, does density count in that?
I'm sorry?
They have a density bonus too?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So there's 2 numbers when you count the percentage. There's the number of affordable units, and that's a count that's done once a year, verified by Rhode Island Housing. These are deed restricted, verified affordable units. Then there's the number below it, the denominator, our townwide units. The denominator doesn't change except once every 10 years. So oddly enough, there is a chance that we will reach 10% by about 2029 or 30. But then at 2030 or sometime when the decennial census gives its numbers, Rhode Island Housing will calculate that all the market rate units that we've gained since 2020 will get added to the denominator. We're a community that doesn't expect to grow. We're going to grow both in our market rate units and our affordable units quite a bit in the coming 2, 3, 4 years. Oddly, we might hit 10% at 2030. The decennial census data comes out.
Right.
We add all the market rates, and then we come back down.
It's absolutely disastrous.
Yeah, it's
ugly.
a balancing act because we
There's
want
a-
a rates to the number.
You never hit the.
Hold on, we got some other people who want to talk. So we've got a balancing act of trying to get to there, but at the same time, without going too dense and doing everything else. So, it's not going to change overnight.
It's a horse show.
Councilwoman Capaldi?
Is your mic on?
I just took a look through your plan. It's looking really good. It's
Thank you.
the comprehensive plan is pretty comprehensive.
Thank you.
Question. That was a joke that you should have said. So I see the different links and it says comprehensive community plan volume 1, comprehensive community plan volume 2.1, comprehensive community plan volume 2.2. each one of them has like 1,000 pages in it. What are the differences?
Really, it's because the document is so large that having it as one
You couldn't-
document, it would overwhelm the website. It needed to be broken into
Okay,
three.
so it's one
It's
document.
really one document. I mean, if you read through the document, there is a volume 1, volume 2. Volume 1 is intended to kind of be a little bit more of a approachable document, but then includes the detailed policy at the end. Volume 2 is a little more of like getting into analysis and data. But the document's so big that we just needed to find ways to break it into 3 separate PDFs.
So why wouldn't the third one be volume 3?
I think it's the plan originally came with this context of there's a volume 1 meant to be more approachable and a volume 2 that's meant to be like a deep dive on data, tables, analytics. So it always had a volume 1 and a volume 2. It turns out that volume 1 was a good breaking point to have as a standalone PDF. Volume 2 was so big it needed to be broken into 2.
Okay.
I mean, really, it's just kind of following the way.
So how it was.
It was written as like truthfully, I'd rather have it be one PDF. But if you were reading it as one PDF, it'd still talk about there's a volume 1 that's meant to be more
Right.
readable and a volume 2 that's meant to be more.
I saw that just quickly looking at it. And I don't know if somebody asked this already, I apologize, but I know we want to get this done in about 4 months, I think you said.
We'd like to have it in front of the council in May.
Okay, so from here, this point until May, what are we really waiting for? What are the chunks of information that you're waiting for to put in here?
Well, for one, when, we bring this reconstituted plan back, I think we need to make sure the public's aware that this is their moment to review the document on the website and to give us their feedback, their comments. We're bringing the plan to a series of stakeholder groups. We're bringing in a ad hoc advisory committee. That's a committee that had met on this document many times when it was before it was sent to the state. So we're talking about like 3 years ago. We want to allow that committee that had some work here to see some of the changes that had been made, have them give feedback, and then it's a public hearing process. So we want to make sure that we understand all this feedback. We give people a chance to provide their written, verbal feedback at a meeting. Then we ensure that we're trying to capture the best feedback, where there's smart changes to make, and then we make those adjustments, and then the plan comes to the council.
And one suggestion that I would give, because there are so many pages in 3 different volumes, I don't see any watermark at all on any of this. It would be really beneficial. You know what our public's like, and I think if you could see that it's a draft, it's a draft. I think I saw the word draft in this really, really condensed several paragraphs, but I really would call attention that this is a draft and this is not final.
Yep, that's fair. Yeah, and to be fair, we try to make sure the website reads in a way people understand. It's certainly a draft plan now. It will be a draft plan even after the public hearing process is over. It'll be a draft plan even after the Planning Commission feels it's ready. It won't become a final plan until you adopt it. And then even after you adopt it, it goes to the state. And the state takes 5 months to review it and to determine if they believe it is ready to be considered an approved plan at the state.
Does, for the layperson in our town, do they understand that? And could we, in this, you have this update, maybe just kind of put some content around what is the process? What does that timeline look like? Because we're having people ask us all the time, like, I don't know. I'm hearing this for the first time and it's really great. I'd like to give the people some kind of information.
Maybe like that map in the mall, like we are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, I wanted to kind of get a feel for the council tonight. I know there was some consideration for should we have additional information before we move forward with this. So that was part of, we're about ready to, I'd say, hit a more aggressive public engagement level. I wanted to make sure that the council didn't want to pump the brakes on that. I think that the public engagement is a key component. We have the website ready. And I think we have yet to really, well, I'll put it this way. There's going to be an ad in the paper tomorrow suggesting the Planning Commission's date of March 25th as the initial public hearing component. I think we want to make sure that's a little bit more, we put that on Facebook. We're going to describe the dates and the pieces of this a little bit more concretely in our website. I don't want the website to become this something that you have to like gloss over. I want it to be tight, but I want to talk about the March 25th date in the website. But I did want to make sure the council was comfortable with where we were at in the process.
Does the website have the ability to take comments and?
No, but the main way to send comments is it was with almost anything we do is to send an email to me.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I basically will become the receiver of many emails.
And I just want to reiterate, I'm looking at, this great image with the title, put draft on there. Let's put a couple of sentences somewhere about what this process is so the layperson really does understand it. And maybe put some watermarks on this. I think it looks really good. I just skimmed over it while you were talking. I wasn't paying attention to you. I was reading this.
Councilman Wu?
And here's the thing is I genuinely want the council should not feel as though they're on the sidelines. I asked David as we head in, you're welcome to send comments. You're welcome to send ideas. The idea is it shouldn't hit you as the council, the final decision maker, and you're not familiar with or you have an issue with where we were headed. It's not out of line for the council individually to send me emails and say, I'd like to see more here. I'd like to see this section revised. We'd rather hear that now and have that wrapped into all the work, all the feedback we're doing now. And that way, when it comes back to you, you have an opportunity to know, okay, well, where did that land? How did my feedback get, did it resonate? How did it get incorporated into the plan or not? At the end of the day, the council still has the final call. The document could get handed to the council and the council is allowed to change anything they wish about it. So that's, understand that generally this document is worked up by the Planning Commission. But at the end of the day, the council still has the right to change things about it that they see. I'd still rather hear from you early.
Councilman Wu?
Thank you. I'll be really quick. I did see that Speaker Circacci proposed some more housing rules and pullbacks on some laws. They're limiting staircases on 4 units or more. You only need one staircase. You don't need 2. They're allowing subdividing of your private lots for building. So I think to reiterate what Councilwoman Ayanati is saying is I don't want to get my butt handed to me between now and year 4 without being able to deny or potentially sideline some of these projects. Is where I want to be able to say to the planning and the town manager, Mr. Igliosi, we're denying this project based on A, B, and C, and we have what we need in order to get there. Because I do think between now and year 4, we're going to end up in a scenario where we're denying something potentially and we don't have that number. But with a really good comp plan, I still think we can win that argument, as we've seen in other municipalities already, without hitting that, because that benchmark is like invisible. It doesn't even matter. I'm not using the benchmark to push back. I'm using the comp plan to push back.
That's exactly correct. I do think there's a lot of changes. State law is not something anyone can predict. It's an evolving thing. We've lived with this rule about hit 10% or else the comp permits come. This has been in existence for over 30 years.
Everyone says that, but actually now we're getting penalized for it. Now they're cutting back on funding. That's not true. And every time someone says that, I cringe because we've had that, but we didn't get penalized or threatened with no funds or no bonds or no. Now you're getting threatened. Towns are getting threatened.
So I'm not sure about the threatening part.
Oh, I wouldn't call it threatening, but you won't get any funds.
But I can tell you where I think the state is going with this is they've already taken away the idea that if you hit 10%, the low and mod income projects go away. No, that law says that low and mod income projects still allowed to be delivered. I think where the state is headed is whether you're at 8%, 9%, 10, 11, 12, it's about being able to demonstrate progress. And that's where you have teeth. And so even if we weren't at 10%, if we can demonstrate that we set a plan that we followed and we made progress against and documented progress, real units built according to the plan that we set up and the direction we put it, we will have a voice at the table in a different way. And that's indifferent as to whether you're at 8% or 12%. I think the progress is going to be key.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I don't care about the percentage, right? I think the comp plan is what's going to help us win the interpretation of that law.
Yep. Yep.
Got it. Well, thank you very much. I know we've done it a few different times, but it's very helpful. I think we're all pretty straight away, at least on the timeline. Thank you very much for extending that
Chris, I have-
offer
I have
of
one more
feedback.
point, and it was brought up.
Yeah.
And this is about counting, when you can count. I'm not here to advocate for any legislation that's being debated, but there is legislation that's being debated
Yes.
about counting units earlier. That's worth the council knowing. As a staff person, I'm an administrator. I work with the laws we have. As the council, you're allowed to voice your opinion about certain legislation that's out there. We are a community, and I've spoken to housing experts. Some of them don't love the counting early aspect. They think really you should count a unit when people can live there. But we are a community that's going to have a growth surge in these next few years. So counting earlier has certain opportunities for our community that are different than others.
Absolutely. It's almost like having a wait list, because if a development backs out or goes out, you're going to have somebody under that list. It's like a waiting list almost. And now we're counting up, and now you're at least keeping the control, because the way it's set up right now, there is no control. Absolutely not. And especially with builders and them getting all I can't blame them for making bank. I mean, they're getting all kinds of perks to do it and all kinds of comprehensive money. And I don't blame them. I don't blame, this isn't about builders or building. Everybody wants to make money, but it's just getting rolled at them. They're getting bankrolled. So everybody's like, oh, I'm going to just go put this up. And they're all coming in, and we have no percentage stop. And by the time it's done, goodbye. It's too many. So I'm all for that, because that's what I was thinking. That's what I was saying as well. You need to at least have it down on where we are and keep the numbers counted. Yeah, agreed.
Agreed.
And I know it's got nothing to do. I know it has nothing to do with you. I mean, this is state. I understand that. Yeah.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. All right. That concludes that business. One item left is executive session. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Make a
Motion in a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you. Got excited. Two reasons to go into executive session tonight. One is going to be pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 4265A12, job performance and employment contract for town manager Daniel Perillo. The second item is executive or closed session pursuant to that same law for litigation matters for Nicholas Cambio, trustee, and others, Commerce Park Realty, and Matt McGowan as receiver for Commerce Park and others versus Commerce Park Management, pending litigation. Thank you for that.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and second, and go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Pasqua.
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi.
Yes.
Councilmember Hul.
Yes.
Councilmember Ionati.
Yes.
Councilmember Mars.
Yep.
President Verducci.
Yes.
6 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Motion passes.
Cody. All right, I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
I make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, I think we need a roll.
Councilmember Capaldi,
Yes.
Councilmember Hul,
Yes.
Councilmember Ionati,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
President Verducci.
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Motion passes.
Right, I will entertain a motion to seal the minutes of executive session.
I will make a motion to seal the executive session minutes.
And I will second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Capaldi, Councilmember Hul,
Yes.
Councilmember Ionati,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
President Verducci.
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Motion passes.
Right, Town Council met for 2 items in executive session. No votes were taken. I think that completes our agenda. I will have a motion to adjourn.